Hi, in this case, I also want to use a very historic case study that I was personally involved in, involving a little company that nobody had pretty much heard of in 1978 called Federal Express. In fact, I went back to look at the logo in 1974 when they started up. This was their logo, and it's tilted. I couldn't find any that wasn't a little bit tilted from left to right. And what happened was I was working for a distribution chain where we bought two new locations in 78. One was in Little Rock, and the other one was in Memphis. And, Federal Express was based in Memphis, and I was down there visiting with the branch manager, and I said, are you familiar with FedEx? He goes, yeah, actually, I have a neighbor next door, a neighbor who works for FedEx. And I said, well, in 1974, I was at business school, and Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx, was in my class, my venture capital class, and he was sweating bullets. He raised all this money to have 12 Falcon jets flying every night empty into Memphis to swap around a few letters and send them out to 12 big cities the next day for trying to pioneer the overnight letter business. And I said, but, I've been following them, and they recently, have gone public, and they've gone past break even. And I think they've found a huge new opportunity. Now, those in the old days they had these Tyvek envelopes. You can't tear them. And DuPont had pioneered Tyvek in those days. It was super expensive. I mean, today the production's gotten so low they wrap entire houses in it. But in those days it was very expensive, engineered paper, if you will. Very lightweight, but bulletproof kind of thing. And I said, at some point, I think that they're going to, take in-house some of their printed materials. So who's in charge of buying the printed materials? And he goes, I don't know. So I said, well, let's work on it and find out. So we did some deep dive research, and using his next door neighbor, we were able to get in and visit with the print buyer. And we said, someday you should do in-house printing of these envelopes at least, because this is a life cycle pattern we've seen at other big clients in other cities. I mean, we had 10 different distribution centers in 10 different cities and had some monster in-plant printing shops that for big corporations. And I said, if and when that day comes, we'll be happy to set up tours for you to go see all these plants and so forth. So we planted a big seed. Well, guess what? You plant the seed, they start thinking about it. 6 months later, they called up. We scheduled the tour. They spent a week traveling around to a bunch of different places in different cities, set it up, and we got 100% of the business for a long time. And I'm telling you, Federal Express was a total rocket ride. Now, the fact that they wound up having a global footprint, we all know who they are today. That's fine. But the real question is right now in your portfolio of active accounts in your marketplace, you have some future gazelles. You don't know who they are. It's like most people wouldn't even know who Federal Express was in 1978. And one of the ways to identify them is if you go to what's called a year-over-year delta profit. In other words, if I made a profit on this guy 2 years ago of $1,000, and this past year I made $3,000, that's quite a hop. Who are they? Why did that go up so much? And if we don't have any answers, we can check them out. We'll say, you know what? This is a very focused, disciplined, innovative company. Now, they may only have a metro marketplace footprint. Contractors don't go global. Or retailers, may get some model and franchise, and they could, go first regional, national, then global like McDonald's. But, most guys may have a good life cycle where they go rapidly and profitably until they fill their niche, and they're not able to renew. They kind of stay where they are, but that's okay. We want that ride up, that arrow that you see right there. But once you look at the net profit present value of cracking these gazelles, as I said, it makes 1,000 other active accounts look trivial. Why do we even bother? And I would say that at every one of your locations, if you're a chain, you have multiple locations as a distributor, there are going to be 4% or less of your active accounts who actually are so focused and ambitious and good at what they're doing, they actually will grow faster than anybody else around for some period of time. So we want to go find those guys, hyper focus on them, plant a bunch of seeds, hang in there, be persistent over the period of time, because the net present value math is worth it. So that's one more story about getting you excited about finding those gazelles and hyper focusing on them. Thank you.